Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video, and after grabbing a win at the weekend it's time to turn our attention to the old European stage, hoping and praying we see a much better performance and more importantly result than we did the last time we played at the European stage. And all this sounds painfully familiar as it's word for word exactly what we said going into the Genk game after beating Hibs, hoping we built up momentum, then we got slapped in the dish. Well, considering how it went in the last round or the last game in the Europa League and where we are this season, this fever pitch and this circus we feel like we are stuck in, I think it's fair to say tomorrow needs to be a win. And I'll be honest with you ladies and gentlemen, right off the bat, I'm very nervous and worried about my football club, and more of that will become clear a little bit later on in terms of the video, especially when we get to the Rangers end, and there's some brain numbing things we need to talk about and mere bright warning signs that continue to shine out loud and clear. But before we get there, as always, let's go ahead and get a wee update / distraction on tomorrow's dance partner, who again are none other than Sturm Graz, the team from Austria, who are the reigning, defending Austria champs. And it is unfortunate because I would love to sit and say this is a bona fide duffer team that's going to be potentially pumped rotten by us, and maybe possibly over the last couple of years under the last couple of managers it might have been that way a little bit more on paper, but that scale's a hell of a lot more balanced these days and gives the opportunities to the likes of Sturm Graz. And again, taking nothing away from them, they have done what we are incapable of doing and what our players have been shown they're not able to do, and that's win. But win consistently, as again over the last 24 months they've lifted the title twice despite being in some nippy races, despite having some serious questions asked and being in title scraps. These players have shown they've got that added ability upstairs to get the job done. But again, a lot of the talk so far has what they've been over the last couple of years, but what are they this season? Is there stuff we can dive into? Has there been a decline, or are they still the exact same team that's been running the roost over the last 2 years? Well, it's a bit of a complicated answer, because if you look at them on paper, you sit and chuck them into Google, it will show you Sturm Graz gone ahead and sitting second in the Austrian league, which sounds much better than once again being at the tippity top. But once you dive beyond the initial clickbait, you can see that Sturm Graz has actually played a game less than Rapid Vienna, that is sitting above them in the All League. And when Graz has played the same amount of games as Rapid, I imagine they'll be back to flying the flag for Austrian football, which again they've done brilliantly over the last couple of years. But despite all of that, the games played isn't the reason why they're sitting second in the league. The reason they're sitting second in the league is because they've had a bit of a stuttering start and a bit of a sloppier start than what they've had over the last previous campaigns, as they've played 7 games, yes, in the league, in which they've won 5, which must be nice, but they've also chucked away 2 silly games and a lot of points, losing 2 matches, which is very uncharacteristic for this side, because you go back 2 years ago when they won their first league title, they, through it all, the entire season, lost just 3 games in total. Last season, where it was an absolute title scrap, by the way, and everyone taking points out of everyone when it was all said and done, again through the initial phase, then the split, the knockouts, the playoffs, whatever people want to go ahead and call it, when it was all said and done, they had lost just 7 games in that season as well. So to start this season off having just played 7 and already lost 2 is a bit of a change from the dominance we've seen over the last couple of years. And again, a lot of that comes down from not this team suddenly becoming crap overnight, but just chucking games away and having silly games. I mean, you look at the first loss, which was against, ironically, Rapid, which again is a sort of nippy, balanced game of football. Graz was in complete control in the game after the first half. They were dominating possession, they were dominating the passes, they were creating golden opportunities, but they were caught cold by 2 silly, stupid counter-attacks, 2 stupid, silly goals to chuck away, and they threw away the 3 points. You know what I mean? That sounds very familiar, but what sounds even more familiar is their second loss of the domestic season once again came at home, by the way, which is a positive omen. A lot of the losses this season has been on their home soil, but their second home loss of the old season and their most recent home loss was a bona fide Russell Martin special, as they went ahead and played the entire game of football with over 70% the ball. They passed the ball nearly 3 times as much as the opposition. You know what I mean? They dominated every single start, barring the one that matters, because despite ticking that box and having all the ball and having all this, they went ahead and lost the game 1 freaking nothing as the opposition took their one and only chance on goal and buried it into the back of net, which is again is a massive blunder from Graz as they dominated the game. They just couldn't score. And again, unfortunately, this all sounds familiar. The only real difference is after we have a stutter, or if we have a slap back, or if we chuck a point away, we seem to struck about and stumble about in the old dark. This team just gets back to winning games of football, and every single slap in the face and every single slip they've had so far this season, they've responded by winning games of football and going on a winning run, which again is just a difference in mentality. Is there a lot of this core team that's been there over the last couple of years that are able to help the new players that are having to fill big shoes of big players that has left? Absolutely, and that's going to cause a ripple effect. But they do look like a very well organised, solid side that knows how to get things done, and I think they will bounce back and they'll be in and amongst it for the old title again. But that's been their season so far in terms of domestic football. Now, like a lot of teams these days from smaller leagues and smaller nations, etc, despite winning the league doesn't guarantee them Champions League footballs. They had to play in the Champions League playoff. They never had to jump through as many hoops as us, because again they won their league, but their one and done game versus Bodo Glimt went about as wrong as it could possibly could, as again there is some incredible similarities regarding a possession-based team, because in their first Champions League game, or Champions League qualifier, I should say, versus Bodo Glimt, as they travelled to Norway, they got their scants pulled down 5-0, absolutely salt and peppered and battered, despite passing the ball prettily, despite having a decent possession in the game. When it actually mattered in terms of putting the ball into the back of net, they fluffed it, and when it came to stopping balls going in their net, they also fluffed that, as well as the game, the tie, and their Champions League journey or Champions League dream was ripped up due to that 5-0 scant. And now, to be fair to them, in their return leg when it was on home soil, they went ahead and beat Bodo Glimt by the scoreline of 2-1, but again the tie was already done. Bodo rotated a hell of a lot of their players, giving a hell of a lot of minutes to players that they didn't normally play, and Sturm Graz was able to go ahead and beat that. But again, for me, I kind of look into that as the tie was pan breed for the first one. And again, as I mentioned about 30 seconds ago, it's another possession-based team getting absolutely slapped on the European stage versus a faster, more direct, more athletic side. It's almost like that entire motif and that entire chapter of football is slowly but surely closing, and people are moving away from it, teams are moving away from it. But the last couple managers that are getting clinging on to it, the Potters, the etc., the Martins, are all getting sacked time and time again. And imagine it will be the death and the nail of Martin's career eventually when it does come. But again, that was just their one and only Champions League qualifier. After getting slapped at that, as you can imagine, they went down to the Europa League stage, where they went straight into the old group stage. And in Group Day 1, Match Day 1, they faced Midtjylland, who again, not only do we have some experience with, I've also spoken at them so far this season when we've done the Hibs preview, as Hibs really pushed them to the task, and it took a moment of brilliance, an overheat kick to separate and beat Hibernian on that day. Well, Midtjylland, who again struggled to beat Hibs, put this team away that we play them more to. Now, I know there was some potential VAR controversy, and I know a lot of them weren't happy with some of the goals or some of the chances or some of the things that happened in the game, but the scoreline was 2-0, and that's how they started the Europa League campaign, once again getting put to the sword with a mere direct, fast attacking team. It's just a shame I've not got one of them, or I'd be a hell of a lot more confident going into the Mora. But regarding their team, that's mostly them. Now, regarding some individuals, there is some players to look at, and I'm very nervous to do this, because seemingly every single time I pick out a couple of players that either combine for the goal or they stop one for going in with an override clearance, and I feel like I'm starting to jinx our team. But again, in terms of fairness, in terms of trying to give you as much information as possible, I'll try it again. But if they combine once again, I'm done with this section, ladies and gentlemen, because I need my team to get back to winning ways. Now, there is some threat in terms of Graz. You know what I mean? Karat over on the right-hand side is a very, very wise right winger. He can be direct, he can score the odd goal, but he can also cause a lot of problems with his dribbling and his directness. And I imagine if Jadon's going to play the same way he played versus Genk and leave that massive, massive space, that could be a potential real worry for us. Oh, damn day. Stankovic in the middle of the park is sort of your wisely centre defensive midfielder that can pick up a yellow card, that can sniff out some counter-attacks and everything like that, but can also ping the pass. He's got a long-range effort in him as well. Has to be one that closed down. He can pick a pass, but for me there is one player and one player I've been watching, because again I look at these teams weeks and weeks in advance, and there's one player that hasn't been playing due to family reasons, and he's refusing to talk about what that is, and that's fair. That's his personal stuff. But there is one guy that hasn't been playing over the last game or two that I've almost been thankful not to see in the team, but as luck would have it, he's back, he's available, and he's going to play the Mora. Now, I believe it's pronounced Kitchenavili, but again, that doesn't quite feel right there. I'm sure we'll find out the proper pronunciation, as it is very familiar to a certain Rangers player. And if you do remember that man, you could probably imagine what country this man comes from, as he is, of course, obviously Georgian. And Big Kitch, as I'm just going to call him through the rest of today's video, is a bona fide pain in the Jacksie. He's the one, ladies and gentlemen, and he's the one that's returning to the team, and he's the one that's been scoring goals for fun. You look at them in terms of league football, he's played 5 games for the middle of the park. He has 4 goals and 1 assist. Now, he can play as the 10, which I think is his preferred position, but he can also play out in the left. And again, the start of this season, he's been absolutely ridiculous in league football. And even if you look at everything, ladies and gentlemen, you combine everything together, you look at his overall season, he's played 8 games. He has 5 goals. He has 1 assist. And the only 2 games he's not made a difference in was the Champions League qualifier, where they got absolutely slapped by Bodo Glimt, where again he never got a sniff of the football. Every other time he's been able to get on the ball, he's put the ball into the back of the net. And that scares me, ladies and gentlemen, but it also frustrates me, because there's a number 10, there's a midfielder, troops, that's able to run into the box and actually have some shots. That's what a creative, attacking player can be in your team. He can be a goal scorer, he can have some attacking threat instead of having our attacking midfielders be a conveyor belt at the old retail shops, troops. Just beep, side pass, beep, side pass. See, when you didn't have your attacking players doing that, they can do the type of impact this lad's having. And again, he's been incredible, and it's just our luck that the guy's returning to their team versus us. And see, if I'm honest with you, ladies and gentlemen, that's probably me regarding the Graz side, as I've tried to paint the picture of who this team could potentially be as much as I possibly can. Now it's on to seeing what they're actually capable of doing on the day, and I hope none of that comes into fruition. I hope none of it is true, because again, they are a side that knows how to win things, and they've shown that over the last couple of years, but it has been a stickier start to the season. I think again, a lot of that is losing a couple of players that has been cherry picked from them in terms of the summer. Remember Max Johnson, who we had the possibility to sign for free, but because he's Scottish and he actually likes to tackle, we weren't interested. No want that, you know, if it's Scottish football, ew, take that away for me. Well, he goes ahead and wins a league title with Graz, and goes ahead and gets a £2.5 million move a year later after performing well. You know what I mean? They also lost one of their best attacking threats as well, a guy that got nearly 20 goal contributions in just the league alone from the winging position. He was spectacular for them last season, but he's gone, and I think losing a couple vital pieces to a title winning team does take a wee bit of time to get everybody else up to scratch. But again, every bump in the road, they've recovered. Every bump in a road, they've got back to winning ways, and that's where they are right now. But they are due a bump. I can only hope that comes for the Rangers' perspective. But that's enough talking about the opposition. Let's go ahead and get to the Rangers then. And aye, troops, it's just deflating now whenever you have to talk about this football club and talk about this team, right? Even after getting a win at the weekend, there's just mere brain-rotting decisions that get made, and just other things that makes you sit and feel very, very uncomfortable. Now, that's obviously going to be the addition of a certain staff member, which we'll speak about in a couple seconds. But again, it backs up what we talked about in the last preview video. Do you remember the Livingston preview video? Thank you so much if you did check it out. We spent spent the large majority of that video, me and thee, asking one simple question. Does anybody in that building care that this season has been an absolute embarrassment and this club, this team and this manager is drowning? That was the question we asked, and unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, it's seemingly spiralling more and more out of control that we're close to getting our answer. But instead of going round and round in circles and talking about the Russell Martin situation there and again, I think we've got almost an answer to it right now, and we need to move away from that conversation, because this man seemingly is going to survive one of the worst ever starts a Rangers manager has had in our entire Rangers history. He's going to survive the European humiliation he's brought to this football club. He's going to survive the domestic humiliation he's brought in, having this club sitting second bottom with a minus goal difference, and last but certainly not least, almost overseeing an asset stripping motif in terms of our fear factor that nobody is scared to play us anymore, whether it's a European competition, what's the right fear, or even domestic where we get duffer after duffer, nae disrespect, coming out here and saying there's nothing to fear in this team. He's seemingly going to survive not only all of that, but he's also seemingly going to survive the complete fracturing of our football club, as the division between the team, the manager and the fans has been split right down the middle. And even in our darkest day, it never felt this way. There was at least a connection, there was at least a synergy, but that is completely ripped up and done, and only getting wider and wider and uglier as the circus is just getting bigger and bigger. And that's all down to the people that own this football club, that are allowing this to continue to spiral out of control, and they're putting themselves first, and they're putting their egos above everything, above the fans that they're supposed to put first. They're not doing that, no matter what they say with a bumper sticker or their wee interviews here, there or everywhere, where everyone's written out for them pre-hand and they've got it all worded, they've got it all, I'm going to say this, that's been tested there, that's been tested, oh that sounds good to you, does it? I'm going to say none of that PR training crap that gets filtered out on any of the video channels. All that needs to go out the way, because what they're actually showing is they're putting themselves first. Ladies and gentlemen, that's what they're doing, because it's clear to see that even after scoring a 94th minute winner within 20 seconds, the fan base is still screaming for this manager to get lost. And have they made that decision to rebuild that relationship? No, they again are willing to go with their decision. They're willing again to go with their guy, and it's just getting uglier and uglier and uglier, and it seemingly is a motif of let's double down on that rather than trying to salvage the good faith, salvage the good feeling, and actually trying to make something of this season. They're willing to roll the entire dice on a guy they gave 7 interviews with, who again should never have been hired in the first place. It's all just incredible when you actually put it out loud. And do you know what's crazy but also cruel being a Rangers fan? It's not just that mess you've got to deal with. Again, we need to move away from all that mess. We're putting it to one side, because I can't even sit here and prepare for a preview video, spending a couple of weeks looking at the opposition, seeing how they're getting on, keeping a track of this, taking all my notes to memorise it in the grey noggin, because by the time I'm ready to film a video, right up to the point that I'm recording, Rangers Football Club go ahead and make another brain rotting decision as we park all that to one side and break down the new head of recruitment. And it circles back to the start of the video, why I told you I was worried and why I've got a real bad feeling and I'm getting a wee bit of fear. If you've not heard the news or seen the news or read the news yet, we have got a new head of recruitment, a position that's been left open for a wee while at this football club, and I was expecting us to use the time and use the contacts we now have as a football club to really dive in there and go and get someone with raw experience. It's going to be able to help this football club. It's going to be able to take us going forward. But do you know who our new head of recruitment is, ladies and gentlemen? It's Kevin's son. No, I'm not joking. It's not a line. It's not a daft wee statement here. He's went ahead and hired his son for the head of recruitment role at this football club. Have I lost my mind, or is this terrifying? Good luck to Robbie. I really, really mean it, ladies and gentlemen. But to me, this just absolutely stinks of nonsense. You know what I mean? Kevin's under fire as is. Kevin Fry was under pressure. The new, his face is on banners. He's in the songs. He's in the signs because he's made some brain-numb decisions so far. Being at this football club, none more so than spending the likes of £9 million on the likes of Chermeti, who again I'm still hopeful he goes on to be a player, but there's nothing to suggest he should ever be anywhere near that value, and it's only ever topped by the fact that when Kevin was at Everton, he actually spent more on Chermeti. He spent 15 million on him the first time, then 9 million on him this time. That's 24 million pounds on a striker that's allergic to scoring goals. Like, that in itself should be worrying everybody in the football club. But now we've just went into his son is the new head of recruitment at this football club. Again, none against his son. The clickbait of it sounds stinking, and then when you chuck up the kid's CV and you look at it, it's a nepotism hire. There's none to suggest he should have been given a job at a club like Rangers Football Club. This is the same stuff the last board done. You know what I mean? Nepotism, favouritism, this is what it is, ladies and gentlemen, and it's scary. All the best to Robbie. I hope he goes and kills it. Hope he does tremendous and he takes this club going forward. Absolutely. But there's nobody that can sit here, look me in the eyes, looking at his CV and tell me there's no been a helping hand in bringing him in to the door. And even other decisions we're making, not just the head of recruitment, but a couple of other decisions we've made for Everton again. You know what I mean? We've signed another 2 people, or brought another 2 people or staff members from Everton Football Club. Oh aye, they've been well run in the last 5-6 years. Is anyone paying attention, man? This is getting stupid now. Kevin, Dan Purdy, Nathan, who's just been hired today as well, by the way, and now Robbie, who's Kevin's son. You're looking at an internal process. You're looking at professionals doing things the right way, taking lengthy time to make the processes and narrowing in candidates. Well, what is the chances that this professional outlook and this process and narrowing in on the right, best possible candidate turns out with 3 guys that was at Everton, and then the other guy is one of the guys for Everton's son? Do you know what I mean? It just absolutely stinks. They're taking us for fools. But listen, I'm going to move on because I imagine there's going to be people in the comments saying I've been far too negative here. But I'm trying to pay attention to what's going on, what's getting said, what's actually getting done, where things are coming from. And it all just looks dreadful. Either we're an Everton feeder team, or Kevin signing all his pals and bringing them up the road to Rangers Football Club, and that doesn't seem right to me either, by the way. Where's the professionals? Where's reaching out the baggy contacts? Where's going out there and getting the best for every position? Not just getting your mates up there because you want to have somebody to talk to on the way to games of football. Nah, it's weird to me, ladies and gentlemen. But moving away from all that, when you look at everything that's going on both on and off the park, is there any surprise there is so much frustration? Nah. Is there any surprise we're not making the right decision in terms of sacking Russell Martin when we are seemingly actively still to this day adding pieces and pieces and pieces to back up what's already in place? The Kevin Russell partnership. There's Kevin's pals all getting signed. There's all of them. He's not gone anywhere. So if he's not gone anywhere, Russell isn't going anywhere, because both of them are as thick as thieves and they're just like that. So I should tell you he's not gone anywhere, ladies and gentlemen, because all it's getting done now is more reinforcements in terms of doubling down on what we currently have. But we need to chuck that away and get to talking about some football, because believe it or not, there's some football to get played tomorrow, and the football itself is going to be a tough one for us to play, and I'm interested to see Russell Martin's tweak. Who's going to give up the ball? Both of them are possession based teams. Both managers want to control the football. Both teams are drilled into keeping the football, but there's only one football at play, and Son has got to give in the game of football. I'd personally, and again I'm naive, would love to see Russell Martin adjust the system to go a bit more fast, a bit more direct, give less of the ball and just punish them, because the blueprint is there. You've seen it. 70% possession, beat 1-0. 65% possession, beat 2-0. It's all there. They get beat on the counter-attack. They get punished by fast physical teams playing forward. If I can see it, surely, man, somebody that's actually good at their jobs and got experience could surely glance at it and see what's going on and what's needed for this game. So I'm hoping we'll see a bit more of a faster, direct, quicker Rangers team, because that Sturm Graz, again, weakest point, or Achilles heel if you want, but we're holding with bated breath, ladies and gentlemen. We'll just need to find out what's in care. Again, you could probably see both teams just cancelling each other out as both want to do the same thing, but I'd love to see just a wee adjustment and individual players grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck and getting a win that this football club badly needs. Whether you're Russell Martin in or Russell Martin out, it seemingly isn't going to matter if we're losing games. So we may as well try and win as many as we can to go us through this storm. And again, this stormy weather. Now the starting 11's probably going to pick the same. I know a lot of people saying you throw Max Aarons in there on the high of the weekend. Maybe we'll finally get to see the real Max Aarons, but he's obviously suspended after Club Bruges. That's why he's not playing in European football, so there'll be no high for him. Maybe that'll come with the next domestic game. I think it'll be Butland. I think it'll be Tav. I'd personally, and I know it's not a popular one, I'd personally go Giga and Cornelius. I've seen Suter, Cornelius. Cornelius looks good. Suter's drowning again. Suter's leaving men free headers. Suter's ignoring the one and only aerial threat Livingston's got. Let's see a bit of consequences for struggling or not playing well. And let's get a bit of fear factor. 2 for every position Gerrard installed years ago, and it had us playing to a level as there was fear of losing your space. Suter's been dreadful. Right? I don't care what he does for Scotland. Couldn't kill it apart in the 6-yard box. It's not interesting me. He didn't do that at Rangers. For Rangers, he's no doing enough. I'd like to see if Giga can go ahead and make a partnership with Cornelius. Left back's obviously going to be young Jaden. In midfield will probably be something similar. I imagine we'll see Raskin. I imagine we'll see wee Connor Barron as well. And I will probably again be Asgard. Personally, would love to see Asgard making the type of runs in the box that their number 10 goes ahead and makes in the game of football. But I'm yet to see it for Tello. But tomorrow could be the day. The attacking positions, I would go with Gassama, Bojan and Ant-Man, but I imagine, because it's Kevin running the roost with Kevin's old pals forever, it'll probably be Gassama, it'll be Chermeti, and I imagine Mikey Moore will be back in the old mixture. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, that's my thoughts and opinions. Sorry again if it's coming across as negative or too downbeat or anything like that, but just wee things that's happening in the hiring and everything like that. It's just, wait, we've done a process, we've looked at every candidate, and it's his son. Oh, aye. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah. They're absolutely taking us for a ride, man. They're taking us for a walk round the park. Every interview they sit and say, fans are important, blah, 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 son, PR. And people are buying into it. It's crap. Troops, look at what they're actually doing for this club. Look at who they're hiring. Look who they're bringing in for certain positions. It's just a pals act. That's not what we were promised or told it would be. So really worried. What about you? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the old comments section below. Is the board putting their ego above everyone else, or are they just showing some strong leadership and they're willing to ride out the storm and not hit the panic button like most clubs do these days? Is there something in that? Again, you can look at it from many different POVs and let me know which one you sit. But until the next game, ladies and gentlemen, or until after the game, I should say, I'll predict us to win, because again, I'll always hope my team wins by the scoreline of a cheeky channel favourite. I'd like to see Chermeti going ahead and getting a goal, especially because he's got all his Everton staff members that's been sitting in the stands with him for the last 2 years when he's not been picked to play forever. All his pals are here now too, so you know, I mean, maybe he'll feel comfortable. But I personally, all joking aside, love to see Big Chermeti get in amongst the goals and kickstart something that could potentially be in the kid, but we just need a result because he's no gone anywhere. So just win the game, man. That'd be lovely. You know what I mean? Scoreline 2-1, Chermeti to score. I've lost my mind clearly, but thank you to everyone that has signed up to the recently to the Channel Legend memberships. I know who's been supporting this channel for a very long time. We greatly appreciate it, as are those that are signed up to the supporter range. To everyone who takes the time to watch and listen and put up with my rants now and again, thank you. And honestly, for 68,000 subscribers, again, it's ridiculous, man. We're on our way to 69. We're trying to get up in that journey, and that's all you guys hitting the like button, leaving comments and watching these videos. Hopefully, we're happy and we get to celebrate tomorrow, but we'll wait and see. Until then, thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye.